Welcome back to episode 53.
I've taken over fabrication on the job.
So a few weeks ago we had a comment from a regular viewer, Gary.
Hello from Washington State.
I'm being kicked out of the way by Rob and Stuart. We've got one more 21 in stock.
So we're just about to head off for our last ride here on the ranch.
Plan is to get all of this wash trommel project done today. So over the next few weeks we'll have some more of the Manchester project come out from being painted into the yard.
Not quite sure what you've seen this week because as you can see, I'm not there. Welcome back to episode 53. This looks a little bit different to the yard. Me and Andrea are away in America. We're up near the Rocky Mountains. We're on a ranch holiday, so we're going to go and ride a horse in a minute. Andrea's still here on the phone, grafting away. But the lads this week are cracking on in the workshop. So we've got Archie running the show in the workshop this week. We're getting towards the end of the fabrication process of the wash trommel, and the lads are cracking on with more conveyors for the Manchester project. We've got some conveyors to do, the frame for the eddy current also to do before we then move outside the building and start doing the trommel and the infeed. So I'll let you get back to the UK.
So in the workshop this week we've got everything going on that Gav said about. We've got some more little bits and bobs that you will be seeing. But before we show you all of that, we've got a clip from Gavin last weekend, so it might throw you off a little bit, seeing him in America, then back in the UK. So Gavin last weekend delivering an E21C, I believe it was, to a customer. So you see some clips of that. Yeah, have a look.
So I've messed up this morning. I've loaded up in the yard. I'm delivering another mini screen going to a new customer. And when I left this morning, the sun was shining. It's fantastic, and I forgot to film. So I've just pulled in the services. It's now raining, and I'm having to film. So got a machine here going to a customer. I think he's processing topsoil with this. It's got a 30mm top mesh, 15 bottom mesh, and he's asked for a 25mm mesh as well, just in case. But I don't think he's going to need that. We would recommend a 30 or a 35 in the top and a 15 in the bottom if you're on topsoil. And that tends to work, does a good job. So there was a generator with this machine which was ordered last week, so it should have come to us and then we would have obviously delivered it up here. But the people that are supplying the generator, I don't know what's happened. It was shipped and it ended up back at their place, and it's been sent yesterday to be delivered to the customer this morning. So we might get there before the generator, we might get there after, we don't know. So we're going to get this up to the customer now and get it delivered, and if they've got a generator there, we'll run it up and get some footage of them screening, hopefully. So let's see what happens when we get there. So that's that machine dropped off to the customer. It's a training school actually, and they've got this material here that they are going to process with it. They've got a riddle bucket to get rid of some of the bigger stuff because there's some big lumps of concrete in here. They're going to riddle it out, and then over there they've got like a heap of mixed sort of topsoil, that sort of stuff that they're also going to put through it. But it's actually a training school here where guys can come. I don't know if you can see behind me, diggers. They've got a tower there where they practice putting loads up and down on a telehandler. So it's a training school, and they've got all these bits and bobs around the outside. So they've just bought one of these screens just to tidy up. And then what they're going to do is they're going to get a crusher in to crush some of this material, and then they've got some roadways that they want to maintain, that sort of thing. So that's what it's going to be used for. Totally wrong, not necessarily for topsoil, doing other bits and bobs. So dropped it off, done a full walk round. Disappointingly, the generator's not turned up yet, which is frustrating because it'd be nice to have a go with it, show the customer it working, all that sort of stuff. But it is what it is. So dropped it off, showed them how it all works. Happy with it, mesh tension, belt tracking, everything else. Don't want the 25mm mesh. I've got George with me today. George actually starts with us in the next few weeks as our new apprentice. So George is with me. I don't normally take teenagers around, boys with me on deliveries, but he's my youngest son, so that's why he gets a trip out with me this morning. So he's just strapping down the 25mm mesh that we bought as a spare. We'll take that back with us. But yeah, happy customer. Nice. Weather's picked up now, of course it does. Yeah, start have a cup of coffee with these guys, and then we'll head back.
So this is the trailer. So our trailer, Gav dropped this back off from delivering the E21C. So the customer didn't want the other mesh that we supplied them with, so that's fine. Take it back, put it back up in the stock. Yeah, I just thought I'd show you when Gav comes back from site. It's often on a Friday he does his deliveries. So we'll just get this out this morning, get it back around the side of the building, lock it back up, get it ready for the next trip. Cool, so this is the wash trommel in progress. You've seen Connor and Rob getting on with this. I think the latest you saw was Connor put some of the meshes in. So three of the 4 rows are in now. 2, 3, yeah, 3 of the 4 rows are in now. So we've got the last mesh to go in. However, Connor has tested that up. We've had a look at it and it doesn't quite fit. So slight cumulative error between the meshes means that it's just a bit too tight. It possibly would go, but we want to be making sure that when we go to change a mesh in this in the future, we're not having to mess around with tight meshes, or overly tight meshes, I should say. So making some modifications now, we'll make sure that gets transferred back to the drawings, so that if we do ever make any in the future, they can be made to what we modify these to. So Connor is modifying the last row of these meshes now. So yeah, we'll get them in, get them bolted up temporarily. We're waiting for the actual bolts to come in, annoyingly. As soon as they're in, we'll get that fully sorted. And then after this, Connor's going to be welding up the last few bits at the back of the drum. And then once we're happy with the meshes, getting the auger welded on inside.
Sweet, so drum. I'm inside the drum and all the meshes are in now. As you can see, I am currently working my way around with Steve, making sure all of the meshes are flat to the drum, so obviously no material can get lost through the holes. As you can see here, this section is currently done. We're on the middle one now. Not really too hard, just need someone on the outside because obviously I can't be in 2 places at once. When they're all done, I've got some auger flights to put in around here to make sure all the material gets pushed down the drum, and a little backing plate to go on the other end of the drum so no material can fall out the end. Yeah, fair more while on this, well, a lot more to do on this yet still before it can go to paint, but yeah, we are working through it.
Connor's not in today, Connor's at college, so Rob has taken over to get this trommel drum done. The plan is to get all of this wash trommel project done today. So we've got the last bit of fabrication in here, so we've got the back ring to weld on. This is just stock material sort of coming backwards into the chain part of the drum. And then we've got some of the auger flights to weld on the inside of this drum. Once that's all done, we'll be happy to sort of put on any of the last bolt-on bits. So this giant sprocket on the back here, we can happily or confidently bolt that up. So yeah, we've got Rob just fabricating the last bits on here now, really.
So, seeing as Connor is at college today, I've taken over fabrication on the drum, so the project doesn't slow down. So what I've done today is this rear sort of like stoppage ring has been welded in. Got to weld the inside yet. And I've also tacked in all of the auger flights up the drum. You'll see them in the footage that Adam will provide at some point before or after this, I don't know. But yeah, I'm just going along now, they're all tacked in. I'm going along and bending the ends so they meet together and create one continuous loop. And then I'll weld them together, clean them up. And then all that's left on this drum is to replace the bolts in the mesh because they're the wrong ones at the moment, and weld up the outside, and this drum's done. This is the wash trommel drum. As you can see, it's behind me. The outside is fully welded. I'm now just moving on to the inside to weld in the auger part of the drum. And then once it's fully welded, I'll put the slits in it so we can take it out when meshes ever need to come out. So, as you can see, we're in the drum at the moment replacing all the bolts. The auger's been welded in. So, all that's left to do is 2 more rows of bolts, and then this drum's pretty much finished, ready for paint.
Following on from the drum part of this wash trommel, Steve is doing the final bits of the actual framework. So, I think, like you've seen before, we've got the subframe and the main frame. So this is 2 separate parts that will be painted sort of separately, assembled back up together, and then just assembled on site as is. So Steve is currently making sure all the bolts have got the right sizes, got the right washers on, the right nuts on. So this is obviously having lock nuts on it, just to prevent any issues with the vibration, because this machine does create some vibration with the trommel drum spinning round. We like to put the lock nuts on there, making sure that they don't come undone. There just has been a delivery of steel. We've got some 2mm come in. That is for the doors. Colin will be cutting that very soon, and then they will be folded up as soon as we can, and then they will be fitted onto here. So a lot of panel work sort of coming off and going on. Yeah, that's about it for now. So, what you can see here is Steve is marking up different fold lines and the angles that they need to be folded at. So, because the door is quite intricate, they've got a sort of funky panel for the strength. It's not always possible to use the back stops on the brake press. So, due to that, we have to use sort of chalk lines just on there, offering it up, and then just matching it down on the brake press blade. So, what Steve's doing, marking up the distance and then just noting down the angle. Saves I can flick through drawings and find the right angle. So he's doing all that, making sure that when he goes into the brake press room, he's as efficient as possible, knows exactly what he needs to do, how he needs to do it, which direction. There's sort of no thinking about anything essentially. All the thinking's done in here, and that's where the sort of magic happens. So Steve has now got one of the folded panels on the fabrication bench. So these never fold bang on perfect first time. So we sort of have to clamp down each end in the middle and then sort of squish it up, make sure it fits the end panels. So the sort of end panels, they're only a couple mil wide, or a couple mil thick, sorry. We've got one side which has a flange on it, which bolts the doors to the centre post on the frame. That just keeps the doors from swinging open. And then the other side has 3 slotted holes, top and bottom, so 6 total. And that is what we'll bolt the hinges on with. Those hinges we are going to be using will be 3D printed in the office with George's 3D printer. So, in front of the wash trommel here, the doors that Steve was fabricating are now complete. They're looking great. Steve is now test fitting some panels with Stuart. It's a good job we have. So this just goes to show test fitting is worth it. There's some other tiny little tabs that you just very hard to see on the drawing. So not anything negative against George, nothing like that at all. Usually you can't really see them. They're very small. It's just something that would easily get missed. But yeah, Steve and Stuart managed to spot it while they were test fitting some of the panels. So yeah, nice work Steve, nice work Stuart. They're getting welded back on now. So, panels are pretty much all on there now. We're happy, we've made some modifications, or we are, as Steve and Stuart have. So, yeah, this is all good. We're going to start stripping it down in a minute, getting this into the paint room. So next, hopefully, you'll see some clips of this being transported into the paint room. This is the wash trommel in the paint room. So it's been painted Spitfire grey, quite obviously. We've got, this is the top part. We've got the bottom part, which is underneath, obviously on the pivot. That's what's going to be bolted to the wall and resting on the blocks on site. That is going to be coming in here tomorrow once this is fully dried and we're happy that we can take it out elsewhere. We don't want to damage any paintwork by moving it prematurely. So once we've got both the bits of grey framework done, we're going to bring all the rest of the panel work in here, so the doors, any of the guards, covers, anything like that. And then once that is all done, we can start getting this assembled, probably outside. We've got a bit more space, nice weather next week. So we'll probably do that outside and then it is ready for collection.
So as I say, we're in the States. So we've just stayed overnight. I thought I'd show you the vehicle that we've got, okay? So I said to Andrea, I said, there's only 2 of us, we could do with, we could do with something that's a little bit economical, not too big for the 2 of us. So I left her to it. GMC Sierra pickup truck. Now, this one is the economy version. So it's quite a nice truck. As I say, it's got the Greta Thunberg approved 5.3 litre V8. Now, I was a bit worried we'd have struggled to get luggage in the back of this. But have no fear, because you can get everything in the back, not a problem. We had a little trip to Bass Pro yesterday, and Gary, one of our regular commenters, has already messaged Andrea this morning because she saw on Andrea's stories that we'd been to Bass Pro. Gary, this one's for you.
E21Cs, great little screeners. 2 decks, so some of you might have seen this before, some of you might have not have. So you've got 2 decks, you've got oversized, mid-size, and then the fines sort of dropping out the bottom. This is a 21. We've got a 21C model, which has a conveyor for the fines that goes out the back. That feeds into bunkers, little bays, into buckets, bins, whatever you want it to. We've got plenty of different mesh sizes, so we've done all the way down from, I believe, 0.8, and then we go punch plates. You can do 60mm punch plates if you wanted to. We can do 40mm meshes, we can do piano meshes, whatever you want. So we've got one more 21 in stock. So if you would like this, get in contact with the office on these numbers and email addresses. I don't know which one's going to be where, but there'll be the contacts up here for the sales office. So if you speak to them, you can arrange a demo. So you can come here, bring some of your material, make sure that you like it, and then drive away with the same machine the same day if you wanted to. You need to be quick though, because these are proving to be very popular this year. We've got more in production at the minute. So due to the fact that we've only got this one in stock for now, we've got 2 more in production going to be done very soon. To make sure you guarantee the next lot of stock, or this lot, make sure you speak to them soon. Another great example of our small screeners is this box screen, EB215. So it's 2 meters by 1.5 meters deep. Single deck, so only 1 mesh on there. So you've got oversized going off the front, and then you've got the fines dropping down into this little bay in the middle. Great little screener, very light, very compact, easy to move, forklift pockets. You've got each there. You've got very simple maintenance. Just checking all the bolts are done up. There's no grease points, nothing like that. Simple on and off button. Again, if you want to come and have a look at this, speak to the sales office. I am currently stood upon the Mortar Master. This is a machine that we have tested here in the workshop. So we've run some cement through it, made sure we're happy with it. So there's filled this big hopper here with sand, used the bag splitter at the top, so just a ton bag, squished down on the top, filled this whole hopper with multiple tons of sand. Screw auger feeds the paddle mixer at the front. We've then mixed some cement in there and some water. That's fed through a system which is part of the machine. The customer who is purchasing this is, or I think he's actually renting it to begin with. He's renting it and then with the plan to buy. He's collecting this in the next few weeks. So we'll just give it another quick clean down, make sure we're happy with it. He's going to come up in the next week or 2 just to make sure he's 100% happy. He's going to give it a once over before he collects it. Yeah, great bit of kit. So if you've got any on-site need for a Mortar Master, or you think you might have a need, contact our sales team and they will point you in the right direction.
So a few weeks ago, we had a comment from a regular viewer, Gary, and he's asked, how do you get the tooth pitch for the chain correct? And he then asked if there was an equation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how I calculate this when we're doing chain pitches and stuff for trommels. So what we have here is the ring gear. And what I'm going to do is reverse engineer this and show you how I would go about it. So first things first, I've got this central length for the chain. Now I work this out over here. So I get the information for the chain pitch. I've got this in hand, but I thought I'd get this up for you so you can see it. We use an 1.5 inch chain, and this is for the Manchester project trommel, which gives us a pitch of 38.1 millimeters. Now, years ago when I started, I made myself a little calculator, but I still use this day to day, and I still do it by hand as well, so I know I'm correct. So we know the pitch is 38.1. The diameter of the trommel is 2 meters, so we know we need to be bigger than that. So I just literally just guess. So I start off at 150, and that's not quite big enough. And I worked my way up till I ended up at 184, which gives me a good sense of where I want to be. Now the core length is the flat length of, if you was to flatten it, what it would be. So what you start with is your pitch length times 184, which gives you 7,010.4, and then you take that core length and divide it by pi, which gets you this diameter length here. So once I go back into SolidWorks, so I put that measurement on here now, and that gives me the center line for the chain. If I open these teeth up now as well, I've got 184 holes, 26 diameter. Now up here, got a circular sketch pattern. So I will draw just one circle and then go off that center point there, and it will all the way around. Now, because I've done the math on that ring, if I click anywhere, as example, I should have that 38.10. If I do that anywhere across the board, it should say 38.10 on that. Let's try one more just so we can see. I usually do it in 3 or 4 points just around the drum so we can see 38.10. So we know that pitch is correct going all the way around it. This is where it gets a little bit trial and error. We've done this for a long time now, and we sort of know what we're doing. So I get a sprocket offline, I find the tooth pitch, and they're all the same or thereabouts, and I just replicate that. So we know it's 7.5. This measurement here is the trial and error bit. Sometimes it's too loose, other times it's too tight. So I've gauged over the years 2.5 is quite a good place. And then we do the same pattern again like we did with the holes, and then that puts all the way around for us in the yard. And we make this a bolt-on piece just in case there is any errors, and then we haven't got to remake it, or we've just got to take the chain off and rework the ring gear. But essentially that's it. I feel like I've probably really under-explained that, but it isn't overcomplicated. There is a bit of math behind it. And like I say earlier on, I always work it out. I don't just trust the computer. So my trusty pink calculator still comes out. I do the math by hand, and I make sure that the computer's right and I'm right, and then we go from there. So there isn't an error, and we don't accumulate anywhere. And hopefully at that stage, we don't have any issues. And if I'm very honest, I don't think we've had an issue with chain for a long time. But who's to say I won't make a mistake someday.
So this is the Manchester processing plant conveyor. This is for the picking line. So 2 halves. We've got obviously both the halves here. We've got head and tail end. Rob has fabricated these. Dan is about to paint them. So we're getting them prepped up now in the paint room. Just going to go over everything where they've just got a little bit damp outside during transport. Just make sure everything's dried off, get rid of any rust patches, and then giving it a wipe over with thinners and degreaser. Yeah, big old parts. Get them painted today and get them out. So Dan has now painted the conveyor sections for the Manchester project picking line conveyor. It's now the next morning from the day he painted it. So they're fully dry, ready to come out in a minute to get another frame in here. Some of you may or may not notice that we've missed a patch. That is on purpose. So essentially there will be a conveyor belt rubbing on here. So that is rubber. That creates quite a bit of friction. A little bit of banging outside. There we go. So that creates quite a lot of friction, and the paint does not help with that. So the smoother the metal, the better. So what we've done is we paint along the edges where it will be exposed to the weather and the belt won't be covering. And then where the belt will actually be rubbing across, we've left it unpainted. So previously we've done it where we have painted it, and it just hasn't worked on a much smaller conveyor. So it didn't work. It kept sticking, caused issues. Eventually it does wear the belt, wear the paint off over time anyway. So it's not like we're cutting corners or anything. So it's just getting rid of that first month or so of having a sticky belt when you start it up. So because of the friction, it will keep it shiny and polished, so rust won't form and create any issues. Yeah, that's just something I thought I'd mention because I didn't want any comments sort of saying that we're missing bits. Yeah, so standard bright grey or very light grey, borderline white colour for this project. Yeah, that's about it. Colin's got this programmed up, 5mm for conveyor number 5 of the Manchester project. So if you have a look over here on the computer screen, you can see all the nested parts. So, I don't know how well you can see it. This is Well, these are a load of the joiner plates that join between the conveyor sections. We've got some of the feet plate here. So that is all the program for this. Well, yeah, that is all the programming for this program. So it'll be quite interesting to see. So yeah, conveyor 5 is underway. We'll get that cut in the next day or two, and then we'll move on to some of the other parts. So we've got a list in the office of the order how we want to cut it. I think it goes conveyor 5, conveyor 3, just to make it easier for fabrication. So when we fabricate it and paint it and then assemble it, it's all then ready to go on site in that order. So these are the plasma cut parts for conveyor 5 on the Manchester project. So Rob and Dan will be folding these now. Dan is new to the company, new to folding. So Rob will be showing Dan the ropes. So if there's any time lapse to suggest and it doesn't look like it's a two-man job, that's because Dan's learning. So the plan is, when we sort of get new people, it is to sort of show them with someone the basic stuff, and then they get shown the sort of more complicated stuff with someone else as well. And then sort of gradually sort of work their way down from being with someone to sort of doing it on their own. So we want people to be confident enough to do it, but equally we need them to have enough skills. We understand that there's time needed to be invested in people, in their skills. So that is a key part in getting people to learn how to fold correctly. So, as you've probably just seen the time lapse of Rob and Dan folding this, that is pretty much everything folded for conveyor 5 on the Manchester project. So this is fairly simple folds, mainly just 90 degrees either side. The side skirts are the sort of the more complicated parts. Ooh, sorry, I don't know what I'm saying, sorry, it's only me. Yeah, the side skirts are the more complicated parts really, just because they've got a 30 degree fold and then a 60 degree fold. Total's 90, so across the plane they are perpendicular to each other, the two faces. Everything else is pretty much just 90 degree folds. So very simple, easy to compute and put into the program. Everything else is, yeah, pretty much there. We've got a few more bits to cut that we just haven't quite got yet. A few more bits to fold, and then very soon these will be going into fabrication.
Hello from Washington State. So a bit of a different company update. Adam's asked me to do a quick update as to what's going on with the business, overall side of it. And I'm doing that from mine and Gavin's vacation. So we're out here in the middle of the mountains. I'm doing a little bit of work this morning, but largely I don't have to do an awful lot when we're away because our team are well trained, know what they're doing, know what we expect, and just get on with it. So it's really good from that point of view. It's really great now that we've got a full complement of staff and everyone's in the right position, and yeah, it just seems to work. So George is picking up all of the leads for sales type things. Alicia is doing what she's doing in the ops team, obviously scheduling work, getting things moving out into the team for Archie and Jamie to work on. So yeah, really pleased. The update with regard to the event that we're going to, can't formally announce it yet because I haven't secured the spot that I want, but it's going to be a great opportunity for all the team to get up to the event and see everybody. So anybody that's interested in what we build, hopefully come along and see us. I think the staff that are going to be there will be me and Gav. This is across 3 days. It'll be me and Gav. Adam will be obviously there doing the content filming for us. George from CAD Design will be there technically supporting us, as will Archie, and then Georgina and Lauren will be there as well. So yeah, quite a lot of us actually. It'd be a great opportunity to come along and meet us at the event. So as soon as I can announce it formally and tell you which event it is and the dates, I'll do that. But yeah, I'll leave you back to Adam and the rest of the crew.
Small company update, not massively company update, but workshop update. We've got a fairly clear yard, to be honest, so this is sort of what we like to work with. It fluctuates quite a bit, so we have full yard, empty yard, full yard, empty yard, and then we sort of sometimes sort of sit around the middle. So this is fairly empty for us. We've got a lot of framework and walkways sort of sat about in different areas, but that's what we want. We want it all sort of tucked to the side so we can easily get to them, but they're not in the way. So over the next few weeks, we'll have some more of the Manchester project come out from being painted into the yard. Obviously, because we don't assemble it here, this will then sort of stay here until it goes onto a truck, and then that will be assembled on site. But yeah, it's a semi-strange sight to see, to be honest. So, well, such a clear yard, and it will be getting even clearer once we've got the store sorted. So we've got two bits of bucket news. We've got the first bit, which is both good news, to be fair. We've had another 6 buckets come in. So we had 7 originally, had another 6. So we've got a total of 13 now. So they are stocking up. Due to this, so we are flat out in the workshop at the minute. We've got production for the Manchester project, production for the wash trommel. We've got our own 21Cs for stock. We've got more site banks, the site boxes, the platforms. We've got everything going on. So we have got all our staff sort of fully booked out for what we can do. So Gavin has spoken to one of his good friends, Henry. So Henry will be coming to do some work for us. He will be cutting these buckets apart. So buckets 1 through 6 are the first priority. So we do them in 2 different batches. So buckets 1 through 6, or 7, sorry, 1 through 7 will be the first priority. So Henry will be coming in on Wednesday. Probably have him on camera. But yeah, we'll have Henry in here Wednesday. He'll be cutting the bottoms out. We'll then be measuring up and rolling them or folding them, whatever we need to do, for when Henry then returns. So yeah, some good news with the buckets, making steady progress with them. But so they've just been on the back burner for a little bit too long now. We'd like to get them out of the way. So not being chased by the customer. They've got loads and loads, big national company. Won't name them, but you might be able to see it on the side of the buckets. I don't know. So they've got plenty of buckets to use, but we would rather get them done, get them invoiced, and get them back to them so they can send us some more. So we are outside in the back of the yard at the minute. You can see Henry behind me with a load of buckets. Henry is from Spitfire Engineering. We are so busy in the workshop, we're having to get Henry to come and help us with getting these buckets done. Henry's got a lot of experience on this sort of work. So yeah, this is his forte really. He's cutting the floors out of all the bases, all the buckets, all the bases out of the buckets. And then over the next week or so, we're going to get some cut and folded, profiled to the buckets. And then Henry's going to come back and probably weld all of them in for us. So it's stuff we can do, stuff we have done, and stuff we will do in the future. It's just we're very, very busy fabricating our own brand new machines, and we want to get these out to the customers. So we want to make sure we keep them happy. They're not chasing us for them, but we want to make sure they get their parts in a timely fashion. So that requires some outside help sometimes. So yeah, thanks Henry. So as you can see, that is a floorless bucket, and at least a bucketless floor. This is part of what Henry was cutting out yesterday. This one was proving quite challenging. It's probably the worst bucket we've seen, worst bucket Henry's seen in terms of difficulty getting this cutting edge off. Did get it off though. Floor has been cut out, haven't cleaned it up yet. There's another few buckets dotted about that have also been done. We have run out of gas though, so Henry wasn't planning on returning today anyway. But when we get the gas in, we'll get Henry back out, get him to finish off the rest of the floors of these buckets. In the meantime, we might start getting some of these floors cut and profiled. So we're going to be cutting them out of whatever thickness is required, and then we will then be folding them or rolling them however we see fit to sort of fit in here. So yeah. So Rob is currently behind me using the brake press for the E21Cs. So there's 2 more in production as of right now. Everything's been cut for them. Rob is in the process of folding everything for them. Yeah, so the demand is there at the minute for these. So trying to pump out as many as we can, as fast as we can, getting them sold. So once again, because they're going fast, make sure you speak to the sales team and let them know what you want. So trials, demos, whatever you need. Hire, purchase, there's a lot. So I'm currently sat here on one of the last pallets to be folded. So these are the screen box sides for the E21Cs that Rob will be folding. Just in front of us, we've got some of the roster style mounts and the transition chutes for the cassettes, which sit in the screen boxes. So that's pretty much it for folding now. Rob's going to get these done. We'll show you in a second everything else that Rob has been folding today. Put a proper good shift in today. So first thing tomorrow morning, it's available for someone to fabricate, which is great. So these are the pallets that Rob has folded today. So all of these are the conveyor sections, some of the screen box parts. What we do is we try and separate each pallet for each sort of part of the machine. So a fabricator can just pick up a singular pallet and know that all the parts are on there. So previously when we've had it, we've been having as things get folded, they just put on a pallet, and then of course the thing you want is at the bottom first. You have to unstack it. So we really try and take the time, especially nowadays, with making sure that once things get cut and folded, they're then put on particular pallets in a particular order. So I know that if I was to ask Rob to fold one of these, or to fabricate one of these conveyors, he would have to pick up 1, maybe 2 just pallets and not have anything else left over for another part of the job. So from each job, you could have 5, 6, 10, 20, 30 different pallets for different parts, but ultimately it makes us a lot more efficient with our fabrication. So the time saving is definitely there. So yeah, Rob's put a very good shift in today with these. By himself, has managed to fold all the material for 2 E21Cs. So just on his own, quite long length. They're not too heavy. They're manageable, so he's managed to get all that done. So that is probably 9 hours-ish for one person to fold everything for a E21C. That's pretty good. With overtime, that probably was 2 days worth of folding. But as we've developed new techniques and then made improvements with the drawings and the designs, we've given feedback to George, the CAD engineer. Picture of George here. Adam's smiling. Yeah, we've given feedback. George has come up with some new good ideas. So we've managed to reduce time in all aspects of this. And these are a great project. All the staff love them. Yeah. So this is the latest site bank to have been fully fabricated. So obviously we have to do some fabrication and then it goes over to the assembly team. They then fill it with all the concrete. So because this is double skinned concrete filled, it gets filled with concrete. Due to that, we then need to fabricate some parts covering over where the concrete goes. So the lid and then the floor, which are also both filled with concrete, we have to put another cover over. So that has been sort of finished off fabrication wise now, giving it a clean off. This is going to go outside, be sorted out. I'll show you one that has been painted outside now. So that's come out of the paint room this morning. This one's ready to go in. So yeah, the production of these is back on track. So this is a painted site bank. We've got a door over there, some more parts sort of leaning up against locally on trestles. We're going to get this assembled today. There is majority of stuff can be done to it. We can't have the stickers on yet. We're still waiting for them to arrive. But yeah, so this got painted last Friday. Dan brought it out this morning. Yeah, it's looking quite good. Should give it a once over before we start fully assembling it. But yeah, not much more left on this one now. Site bank, well, another one pretty much ready. Everything's painted, been assembled. Shelves are installed. Our electrician has come and installed all the electrics. So we've got the plug outside. We've got the two gang 3-pin plugs on the inside, so that any chargers can be used inside on this side of shelves. And if they want to run extensions along to the other side, that can be done. But yeah, so it's just sort of the final testing. We've got stickers to go on it once they arrive. And then yeah, last QC before we are happy for customers to come in and see it, get demos, anything like that. But yeah, if you think that this will make a good addition to your site, give the sales team a call. So these are the site boxes. I'm being kicked out of the way by Rob and Stuart. So these are all the sides for our construction site boxes. They are 6mm steel, 6 or 4mm steel. So they're 4mm steel, 6mm lids, I believe. Might be 4 as well. Might be talking nonsense. But yeah, so we've got some thick steel for the sides, the floor, the lids. So these go in the ground. They're a great way for construction sites to look after their machinery, and they're sort of small tools. So these are what we are somewhat replacing with the new site banks. These sort of dig a hole, put these in the ground, and then they've got a lid on top with a sort of hook, so that the lid can be lifted on and off with a machine, and then overnight a machine can just drive over the top of it. You can't get any of the power tools.
So we're just about to head off for our last ride here on the ranch, and then we jump in the Greta Thunberg edition V8 truck and head towards Canada. So this week's fun fact time, and next week on our way back to Seattle we've booked to go on the Boeing factory tour, because the Boeing aeroplanes are made in a place called Everett, which is about roughly an hour's drive north of Seattle, and we're coming back past that way to the airport later on next week. So when I was here before a few years ago, I wanted to do the Boeing factory tour, but I couldn't because of COVID. That ruined that. So there was like a mini museum sort of thing. So we're going back to that, but now we're going on the Boeing factory tour. So I'm going to film that for next week's episode. So I've asked Adam to prepare a Boeing British Engineering fun fact. So here we go. Boeing aeroplanes are predominantly powered by Rolls-Royce engines, and they are made in Derby. Now the Trent 1000 engine goes in the 787 Dreamliner and is built in the UK. It accounts for about 15% of the cost for the actual Dreamliner. So 15% of the plane's cost is down to the engines. I think also as well, some airlines do lease the engines on their planes, but I may be wrong on that, so maybe somebody could put me right in the comments. There's roughly 250 British engineering companies that are part of the actual building of the actual Trent airplane engines. So there's your fun fact for this week. I thought I'd just spin around so you can see the view, make you all feel jealous of where we are. So that's this week's British engineering fun fact. Trent engines made by Rolls-Royce in the UK. 250 British engineering companies contribute towards Boeing, and you'll be able to see where they're used next week in next week's episode. So that's it for this week's episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Not quite sure what you've seen this week, because as you can see, I'm not there. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, it doesn't cost you anything. And leave any comments that you've got. Try and do some more questions and answers in the next few weeks. So leave your questions. Adam will hoover them up and ask me when I'm back in the yard. And we'll see you on the next one.
Rolling? Are we rolling, Adam? Yeah or no?
Okay, so a few weeks ago we had a comment from a very great start as you mean to go on.
Camera.
I heard that. So.
No, you can't put that in the bloopers either. No, you're not put that in the bloopers.
So a few weeks ago we had a comment from a good list. Regular viewer. That's the word I'm looking for.
having to squint a little bit here. I think we should get some Spitfire hats, please.
So, a few weeks ago we had a comment from a regular viewer, Gary, and he asked about the chain pitch for the...
We've got Steve here. Steve would love to be on camera, wouldn't you, Steve? No, Steve doesn't want to be on camera.
Hi, I'm Rob. This is the drum for wash trommel. Outside fully welded. Next up, inside fully welded. Stay tuned.
Hello. No, I don't know what to say. We'll start again.
Is your microphone working, darling? That's alright then, isn't it?